What is going on, all of you Nintendo enthusiasts out there in the world? I am MegaAmpster. Thank you for checking out this quick little video. If you're new here, hey, welcome to the channel. Thanks for being here. Returning viewers, always great to see you here. Thank you for all the support. So, normally I'd like to do different reaction clips when it comes to these kind of Nintendo Direct reactions or other presentation reactions. And you may have noticed, if you're subscribed to this channel, that I didn't make any. And the reason for that, and I want to talk about it here in this video, because I want to get my thoughts out about the Direct after, like a day after watching it, just kind of to digest my thoughts and process everything. This Direct, for me personally, and I think there is some degree to that on an objective level, and we'll talk about that later. But for me, this was probably my least favorite Direct in a little while. Like, I feel like lately the last few have been like absolute bangers, at least for me personally. The February Direct earlier this year was great. The September one last year I remember being really good. The summer one was solid. There was a lot of Mario there, but then again, a lot of Mario here. But like, when I was watching this, you know, we've heard about all the rumors about the Switch 2, right? Up and coming maybe sometime next year. To me, looking at this like objectively, like obviously some of these announcements may not be for me, right? Excuse me. And that's just a subjective thing. But looking at it like at face value, based on the amount of like remasters and remakes and updates to games you already know are coming, it definitely feels like this is the end of the current Switch's software lineup. I think it's hard to argue against that just based on the announcements that we got here. Not to say there weren't great announcements. I mean, we're looking at one, for example. I'll go through these a little bit and kind of share my highlights, but like the side order for Splatoon 3, I mean, so happy to see that actually show up. It is a little weird that it's coming out in spring of next year. That's a lot later than I was expecting. Honestly, I thought it was going to be out by now, but I mean, they can take all the time they want because like this looks like it's going to be a really cool single player mode. I never got to experience Octo expansion because I never bought Splatoon 2, but I heard great things, and I mean, this looks like it's going to be super unique. So, and I love the Splatoon single player content mainly. That's what I play the games for, to be honest, for the most part. So this will be great to see. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Definitely buying it. And it was great to just get the update here. You know, it'll be worth the wait, I'm sure. There were great announcements in here overall, though. We're not going to talk about Mario vs. Donkey Kong. I know it's a Game Boy Advance remake of the original. Cool. I guess it's the best outcome for Mario vs. Donkey Kong and the minis or whatever it's called. But, man, worst timing to announce this game in the midst of everybody wanting a new DK platformer, man. It's been 10 years almost since Tropical Freeze. It's like, not great timing, but cool stuff here. Prince of Persia, I'm actually very interested in. Obviously, we knew about this game. It's coming out in January. I actually might check this one out. I've never played Prince of Persia, but it looks great. We got to see more of that here. There were definitely some announcements, though. I mean, of course, they always have a variety of stuff, but like some of these just felt kind of weird. We'll get into them more. Great to see more Mario RPG Remake. That's awesome. Another code, is it Recollection? Recollection? I guess Recollection is the actual word. This is great because apparently the first game was on the DS, and the second game, which was on the Wii, apparently was never released in North America. So that's really cool. It was exclusive to Europe, and we're finally getting them, at least in North America, for the first time. So that is awesome. And they look great. They're visually striking. Not my type of game, but they look really fun if you're into like those puzzle story-based games. Princess Peach, one of the highlights for me. Like, when this game was announced back in the June Direct of this year, it was like, okay, like awesome, Peach is getting her own game, great. We saw literally nothing. Only thing we knew is that, oh, she's got a ponytail now, she's on a stage, you know? But then here, the villains are kind of stupid, but like besides that, like, I love seeing the different costumes, and it's like, I was wondering what was gonna make this game unique, and I mean, that's the thing, is like, this game is very unique. So one of the, kind of the main positive thing that I think of when I think of this Direct is just the Mario series. It's getting a lot more unique, and I really hope this is not because we're at the end of the current Switch's life. I don't want this to be like we stop the different unique side Mario games once we move on to the Switch successor, because like this is really cool. I mean, the fact that literally the gameplay is going to change based on which like costume or which stage you're on, like that's a super cool idea. I might even buy this game. I mean, I don't know. People are going to say, why are you buying a Princess Peach game? I'm like, It's for my niece. I don't have a niece. But like, it looks really cool. Like, very unique. It definitely, I was wondering what was going to make this game stand out. And clearly, it's the different costumes and stuff and the stage plays. The theming's really cool. Kind of tying it back to that original Mario 3 theming with the stage play there. But this is going even a way further beyond that. So, and really cool to see Peach get her own game again after Super Princess Peach. And coming out in March. So that's great. That's earlier than I expected. So that's awesome to see. Definitely a highlight for me. Some of these games, not bad. Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered. These look really cool, so great to see a remaster. Get used to the remaster name or remake name thrown out there for this direct. This game, man, I just think it doesn't look that great. Some of the models look okay. The character models look decent, at least the character portrait's there. But man, it looks like Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, which is clearly an upscaled 3DS game. Probably because this was a 3DS game at one point, but I don't know for sure, you know? But I don't know. It's like, hopefully the gameplay will be good, and I mean, that's what'll matter for the fans, but hopefully that'll be good. Trombone Champ was funny. I honestly thought that was really funny. Some of these games, like whatever, blah, blah, blah. Contra was interesting. Way Forward's working with Konami on it, so that's cool, so it'll hopefully be a good game. Visually, it looks kind of, but you know, the gameplay looks good. I just love the name Unicorn Overlord. Apparently, Vanillaware worked on games like Odin Sphere and stuff like that, which is really cool. Very visually striking. Like, I love the art here in these battles. So that was cool. I really don't know why we got a full-fledged trailer for Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, as they're calling it, especially because they announced this is coming out in summer. Why would this come out in summer? Part of me is wondering, and Nintendo does this a lot, is if they're intentionally spreading these out because they're biding their time. I'm personally, especially after this direct, I'm in the mindset that Switch 2 is coming out holiday 2024. Like, based on the timeline they gave us, and we'll get to the recap later, based on the timeline they gave us, I think it's holiday next year. I think it's going to be that, and they're trying to spread these things out. So it's almost like they're treating this, I mean, for people who never played Luigi's Mansion 2, obviously it is a new game to you, but it's tough to sell when you had Luigi's Mansion 3 several years ago that looked way better than this, and apparently it's a better game. Like, okay, here's where it gets really weird for me. As cool as this announcement was, why did it have this long of a segment in a Nintendo Direct? You know, and it's, in a way, it's kind of related to like the, not as bad as the Jeff Keighley situation where he has all the movie trailers and stuff, and it's just like, they're really pulling at strings trying to justify why they're in a video game presentation. It's a really cool announcement, don't get me wrong. The Nintendo Museum, that's awesome. I don't know why it's here. Getting vibes of that Pikmin Bloom segment from, what was that, the September Direct last year? Before they announced Pikmin 4, I think. And then, same thing with the Amiibo figures. I mean, they tend to do these more often, so that's not as bad. But, like, getting Sora confirmed, that's awesome to see. My announcement of the presentation was F-Zero 99. Like, this game, like, I know the rumors were either this or F-Zero GX, and, like, I would have gladly paid money for F-Zero GX, like, HD on Switch, but this is also probably more unique in that, like, you're taking the Super Nintendo game, which I've never been the biggest fan of the Super Nintendo game. I liked playing X more on the NSO, but making this into a 99 game, I've been playing a lot of this since it came out yesterday, and having it be a shadow drop was perfect. This is such a cool idea. I feel like this is Nintendo testing the waters. I hope it is. For more F-Zero, hopefully this game lasts a while. Hopefully it has a large player base, because if so, maybe that'll signal to Nintendo that, you know, maybe make a new F-Zero game or bring GX later. Like, this is awesome. This is really cool. This was definitely my personal most hype announcement of this Direct. It's just, they're doing something with F-Zero. It's been so long since they have, and this is really cool. Sure, it's the Super Nintendo game technically, but like, there's so much customization, there are new mechanics, and it's a 99 game. So as long as they don't delist it in like a month, then we're fine. Really fun, by the way. I've been playing it. Maybe I'll do a stream at some point, but definitely my highlight announcement of the presentation. Some League of Legends games, yeah, whatever. We got an update on WarioWare, which was interesting. I mean, this game looks fun. I'm probably not going to get it. New Wario voice actor. We heard him like loud and clear in this trailer, by the way. I think he sounds fine. It's not Charles Martinet, but he sounds fine. So that was cool. Aiden Chronicles, I've heard this game is good, or it looks really good, so people are excited for that. Eastward DLC, blah, 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 blah. Definitely a lot of smaller stuff. Dave the Diver, I know, is a big indie game. Mario Kart, right? This one was interesting. Not like super hyped for me, because you know I'm holding out for Airship Fortress. We still got 7 chances left, unless they decide to do what they did with the characters and fake us out. Now, they never confirmed that there were only 2 characters left, but we saw that character select screen that only had 2 slots. And I was like, okay, Diddy's in, no doubt. But it was like, I'm like, it's either Funky or Pauline. Nintendo said, why not both? And so we're getting even more than we expect, and that's awesome. We don't need to talk about Peach yet. The less said, the better. Should have been Bowsette. Anyways, moving on. Okay, this is the main announcement that really pissed me off. Because, like, listen, I get that Among Us is big. Is it still big? It probably is. It's been big for years now, especially since the pandemic is when it skyrocketed. Why did we have a 2-minute trailer for a new Among Us map? Maybe it wasn't 2 minutes, maybe a minute and a half. It just like, this announcement in particular just felt like padding to me. And I know, shout out to Neto, who was there live in the chat during the Nintendo Direct. I feel like part of the reason, because we just got a Mario Wonder Direct, we did have a full June Direct, which we did not last year, if you remember. That was a partner showcase, which was much shorter and was focused on third-party games. This just felt like having the Direct here just for tradition's sake, because we pretty much, it's always been consistent. I don't know, February's never always been consistent because of, 2020 during the pandemic. We had that Nintendo Direct Mini, I believe, in March, but like, we've almost always had a September Direct. I guess we had the Mario Direct that year too. I guess that kind of threw things for a loop too, but like, the September's always been tradition for Nintendo, and part of me feels like this Direct being here, so many of these announcements were updates on existing games. Great, they always do that, but there were a lot of remakes and remasters, and a lot of announcements that really did not need to be in a Direct. This could have been a social media thing. This map, the Nintendo Museum thing, the Amiibo announcements, all of these could just be quick social media things. Not all of them, but a few of those. But yeah, so anyways, and then they had the sizzle reel to be like, hey, remember we just told you about those games? Yeah, you're stupid. You don't remember any of these games. The ones that they didn't talk about, sure, that's fine. Like Mario Wonder, Pikmin 1 and 2 physical, like just reminders. But the other ones, it's like, we literally just saw those. We're not dumb. The viewers aren't dumb, Nintendo. They know, but they're like, buy our stuff, buy all our stuff. So, they like to have that. Mario RPG looking great, though, for real. But, like, yeah, they had that recap, and, like, clearly this is going to be their main output for, from now pretty much through summer of next year. And you can tell, like, some of these are unique, right? Peach, obviously, being a really unique game. Mario Wonder, of course, being unique. I guess the Scarlet Violet DLC. I mean, say what you will, that's DLC. But, like, you got Luigi's Mansion in summer. You've got another code, whatever it's called, Recollection in January. You've got Mario vs. Donkey Kong, which is a remake of the Game Boy Advance one, in February. You've got Mario RPG remake in November. So there's definitely a pattern here. And, I mean, a lot of people, and myself included, pretty much knew this was the signal, right? You cannot tell me that this doesn't mean the Switch successor is coming out soon. This is such a signal of that happening. I will be shocked if we don't hear anything about the successor next year, because we're getting so many remakes. To end on the last one, this was the biggest announcement. This was cool. Mario Thousand Year Door. Paper Mario, specifically. Another remake for the GameCube. We did get our GameCube remake / remaster here. This is a full-on remake. And it looks phenomenal. But, like, that's the trend we're seeing. We didn't even get a release timing for this, but, like, that's the trend we're seeing now. It's a bunch of remakes and remasters, a few new games sprinkled here and there, but, like, Princess Peach, Mario Wonder, another 2D Mario. Really cool looking games, but just a lot of in between, mostly games that have existed before, maybe brought up into HD or something like that, sure, but, like, we knew this was going to happen going in. So this to me signals that we're going to get the Switch successor later next year. But, and I will say this, I do have a complaint about Mario Thousand Year Door specifically. Not the fact that it exists, because I never thought this was actually going to happen. Like, especially with Origami King, we're like, okay, cool. They're going in their own, like, action-adventure route for Paper Mario. And, on top of that, Mario RPG Remake isn't even out yet. But they're like, no, we are doing Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. Like, they actually listened to the fans? That was really cool. And, I mean, it looks amazing. I think it was announced too early. I really do. We got a vague 2024. Mario RPG Remake hasn't even come out yet. This could have been a February Direct announcement, for sure. Because this is going to come out, like, second half of 2024. They easily could have held it. But they probably wanted that big one more thing announcement. And that's where, like, I really start to look at this presentation, and compared to other ones, it really just feels like in some cases they're grasping at straws for game announcements. The museum, the longer than should have been Among Us map trailer, even some of the smaller games sprinkled here and there. Like there were some good ones, don't get me wrong, and they always have those um in different Nintendo Directs, but like and this just with the release timing of it, not as bad as obviously something like, you know, Tears of the Kingdom or Metroid Prime 4 or Bayonetta 3, but like this is at least a year out. I would say this is probably a year out. So I feel like it was announced too early, but they wanted to include it in here for that one more announcement here. So I'm not a huge fan of that. The other issue announcing this game here brings up, there is so much goddamn Mario. Like, and I know what they're doing. I know they're trying to promote the Mario movie, and makes sense, promote as much Mario as you can, right? First of all, give Mario RPG Remake some time to breathe. Now, hopefully it won't be overshadowed by this announcement. I don't think it will, but like, just in case, like why? I don't know. So there's that, and it's just like, there was noticeably a lack of other first party besides Mario. We got the side order DLC, like there's your Splatoon. I'm not counting this as Donkey Kong, bro. Are you kidding me? Absolute disrespect. What are the first party stuff did we get? Mario RPG Remake. I guess another code. Cool. Peach is kind of her own thing, you could argue. Luigi's Mansion, it can be kind of argued it's like its own thing. F-Zero. Can you believe that F-Zero is one of the only other first party IPs that was talked about? If you told me that beforehand, I wouldn't have believed you. Wario, if you want to count that separate, some people include it, I would count Wario separate. Otherwise, it's just Mario. No Zelda, and like I get it, we had Tears of the Kingdom, but like Wind Waker, Twilight Princess would have made this way more refreshing. No Metroid, no like Metroid Prime 2 or 3 remastered. Obviously not Prime 4. I actually didn't expect that to happen. It would have been great though. No Kid Icarus. I mean, that's a long shot. Who knows? No Kirby. No Kirby felt so weird. Did anyone else feel weird about that? There's almost always, like when there's not a new Kirby game, whether it's a remaster like Return to Dreamland Deluxe or Forgotten Land, there's almost always like an eShop game. And there was none of that here. To me, this means that, first of all, they're really trying to promote the hell out of Mario, and honestly, I like Mario. I'm a little exhausted of Mario right now. So there's that, but also it's like, they're winding down. This is a sign of them winding down. And that's why I'm like, okay, you know, I've taken a day to kind of recollect my thoughts, and I'm like, okay, this makes sense why this would be the case, because we're at that point where, you know, we're gonna get the Switch successor next year, or at least we're gonna start hearing about the games coming out sometime, like maybe mid next year. I don't know. But it's just like, as a result, you get this Direct, which has some cool announcements. Don't get me wrong. Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, that is an awesome announcement. I never would have thought they would remake this game, and it looks great. So that is a really cool announcement. I think it's a little early. I think it's a little early to announce it, but it's really cool that we know it's there. F-Zero 99, love that. Love that. It's not like a huge game, but it's great to see F-Zero just even used in a new way, and you know, that was really cool. Princess Peach, going more into that was great. Side order, like I said, those were probably like my top 4 announcements. Mario vs. Donkey Kong at the bottom of the list. No, honestly, above the Among Us map, But like, this is a sign of them transitioning. You know, a lot of their main studios are probably right now, or starting to. No, they're probably already doing it now, working on the Switch successor. You cannot convince me otherwise that this means anything else. You know, this is a sign. This is a sign, and unfortunately, because of that, in some cases they're grasping at straws to have announcements for games, and why this one's so far out, but they wanted that one big thing, and this was it. You know, because to be honest, this recap here, this, maybe besides like 1 or 2 other games that they could announce at some point, like in the February Direct next year, this is what we're getting. This is what we're getting for the next like 9 months. All in this sizzle reel, guaranteed, except for maybe, like I said, a couple of other games that I'm sure they'll announce for like May, June next year in the February Direct, if they have one, or on social media, whatever they decide to do. It's just, I don't know. As a result of the time frame of all this, it's like, unfortunately, this Direct was kind of, I don't know. It wasn't, I mean, it's also a personal thing for sure, but it really could have been better. It could have been better, but at the same time, not really, just because of the timing. Because we're moving on to the next platform. Their big development studios are pretty much ready to go on the next system. At this point, I'm definitely convinced that Metroid Prime 4 is at least going to be on the Switch successor. Maybe a dual release like with Breath of the Wild. But at this point, I'm like, they're saving it for the big reveal for when they talk about the Switch successor. But like, I don't know. It wasn't a terrible direct. I was definitely much more colder on it when I watched it. And after like seeing other reactions, having about a day to decide, there were some good announcements in here, some good updates we got to existing games, and then some, I don't know, kind of, it was okay. It was okay. Definitely, like I said at the beginning, little underwhelming for me compared to other directs. I think that February one just spoiled me. That was such a good direct. No NSO updates too. Just want to throw that one last thing out there. No NSO updates. Kind of strange. I don't know. It was definitely weird. It was a very weird direct. I think that's the way to describe it. Not terrible. I wouldn't say it was a great direct, personally. Some of the announcements were great, but like, at least for me, like, one or two announcements like that don't make the direct really good. You know, as a presentation, trying to look at it, the full picture, it was okay. It was fine. But let me know in the comments if you disagree with me, what your thoughts are, what your most excited announcement here was. If you are excited for Mario vs. Donkey Kong and you hate all DK platformers, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, hey, I will catch you all on the next video or live stream. And until then, take care, stay hype.